Namaskar Friends, this is NJ, host on this channel, continuing our discussion on understanding the planetary placements in different divisional charts. In this video, we will try to understand the placement of Saturn in the third house of the Dasamsa chart or the D10 chart. So okay guys, before we will start our discussion on today's current topic, the two contributing pillars to understand this today's discussion are understanding the significance of Saturn and what does D10 chart represents in any of this logical analysis. So I'm going to give you a quick review of these two contributing elements whatsoever we have studied about them so far in my channel, and then we will continue our discussion on today's current topic. So guys, if you have to understand the features of Saturn in astrology, so Saturn represents hard work, responsibilities, your work ethics, patience, like all those success which are acquired or attained after consistent hard work, after enduring all form of hardship. Yes, you got me right. Saturn also represents hardship. Many times people get this impression that it's the Saturn which is bringing troubles, miseries and sorrows in their life. But you have to understand it's not only the Saturn. Though Saturn does that in order to give you the results of your own deeds, of your karma. Whatsoever miseries Saturn bring in any native's life, it is just a way of Saturn's functioning to neutralize your deeds, your karma. But at the same time, many times people are not able to, handle Saturn efficiently, because not only Saturn is bringing troubles in their life, it's their incapability to endure the hardship, because that is what Saturn represents. Saturn represents your staying power, your endurance. And guys, the importance of Saturn is such an extent that when we talk about getting greatness in the world, like all those people who became or who reached the top of their chosen field, who have the power or who exert this influence to impact the whole masses, so that kind of power, that kind of authority, that kind of leadership, only Saturn is capable to bestow in astrology. Now, if you have to understand the significance of the D10 chart or the Dasamsa chart, so friends, the good part about our Vedic astrology is that whichsoever area of life you want the clarity, like I mean to say in your main ascendant chart, 10th house gives information about your career front. Now, let's say for example, if you want more elaborative information regarding your career, like how much money I'm going to make specifically from my career, what kind of skill I'm going to possess, what kind of support I will get. So I mean to say, if you want elaborative information for your career front, so the connected corresponding divisional chart or the Virga chart for your career, for your 10th house of ascendant chart, is the Dasamsa chart or the D10 chart. This chart is acquired by making the 10th division of your Rashi chart. So I mean to say, once you open up the D10 chart, every element of this chart, whether in the form of the ascendant, zodiac signs, nakshatra, planetary placement, every entity of D10 chart gives information regarding your deeds, regarding your profession, regarding your karma only. So, the way you need to assess the D10 chart is that obviously you have to start with looking at the condition of the ascendant of your D10 chart, condition of the 10th house lord in the D10 chart, and at the same time you also need to give extra emphasis and attention to the placement of Saturn in your D10 chart, because Saturn is the chief significator or the Karaka planet connected with D10 chart, because the qualities which Saturn represents completely resonates or gets aligned with the features of D10 chart. So this is something guys which I wanted to tell you about the two contributing elements to understand this discussion. Now, if any point of time you will find Saturn placed in the third house of D10 chart, trust me, if I were to give you my personal opinion, nothing could be a better placement for Saturn in the D10 chart. Now, why I say that? First of all, see, Saturn tells about consistent efforts, about hard work, about your capability to handle responsibilities. So I mean to say, when we look at the third house of the D10 chart or the Dasamsa chart, it tells about your self-initiated efforts. Now, third house of D10 chart obviously tells about your efforts, tells about your communication aspect, tells about your valor and courageous streak, in order to handle responsibilities at your work front. So I mean to say the placement of Saturn in the third house of D10 chart to begin with, first of all, makes native very consistent, because see, you have to understand that D10 chart gives you information about whether you have the capacity to attain greatness in this world or not with your deeds, whether you have the capacity to attain or achieve something magnanimously big in this lifetime or not. So I mean to say, guys, only those people become big or achieve greatness who remain very consistent in their efforts, in their endeavors. And I mean to say, these all are the qualities which Saturn as well represents. Saturn represents all those people who are unprivileged, who are downtrodden, but due to their own efforts, they are self-made, they have the capacity to carve their own niche, make their own identity. So these kind of consistent hard work and hard-working approach is something which Saturn instills in the personality of the native, or to be precise, in the efforts of the native. You can also look at it from that perspective. Now the second thing is that, see, third house also has to do with communication. Now Saturn's innate nature is bit passive. So I mean to say, had there been a planet like Mercury being placed in the third house of D10 chart, it could have made the native bit opportunistic. But when we talk about, I hope I pronounced the word opportunistic right, but yeah, so I mean to say, when we place the planet like Saturn, which is bit passive, which is bit reclusive, so I mean to say, many times native lacks that opportunistic way of reacting on any phase of opportunity. Along with that, see, we are living in a day and age where everything works on your contacts, on your socialization. Like we have professional networking platforms like LinkedIn and all. So I mean to say, even their native could become little bit restrained rather than becoming very proactive. So that is the only one flaw which we can see by looking at the placement of Saturn in the third house of D10 chart or the Dasamsa chart. But the good part here is that, see, third house also tells about your efforts. Saturn in itself is a very philanthropic, is a very humanitarian planet. So I mean to say, even in the professional sphere, Saturn gives strong work ethics, strong virtues to the native. That native has the capacity to stick to his commitments, stick to his words, and whatsoever network or friendship, professional friendship and network native is going to build, native is actually going to abide by those values, abide by those friendship in a very righteous way. You can also look at it in that way. Now one more thing, see, third house also has to do with your power, with your courage, with your valor. I mean to say, when we talk about good leadership qualities, we always give attention to the house of courage, like third house, sixth house, 10th house. So I mean to say, the placement of Saturn in the third house of D10 chart gives native not only strong leadership qualities, but at the same time native has the capacity to withstand any of the challenges, obstacles coming in his professional journey. You can also look at it from that way. And friends, just because we are looking at a house which in itself represents your skills, and we are right now inside a chart, D10 chart, which is giving us a comprehensive information about the professional endeavors. So I mean to say, the placement of Saturn in the third house, many times it has been seen that it blesses the native with good mathematical skills, a logical mind, and a very precise way of working on the details. Like these could be all those people who will hate superficiality while working on their professional front or while working on their skill. So you can also look at it from that way. So guys, at the end, if I have to summarize this placement of Saturn in the third house of D10 chart, it is a very blessed placement which blesses the native with a very progressive lifestyle connected to his professional front. Native is definitely going to have strong work ethics. Native is definitely going to remain very consistent. The only flaw or vulnerable side of this placement can be looked at that it could give native little bit restrained or very reclusive in the face of any opportunity. So you can also look at it from that ways. So this is something, guys, which I wanted to share as a part of my inputs for the placement of Saturn in the third house of D10 chart or the Dasamsa chart. For further more updates and notifications on the science of astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like my Facebook page. Thank you.